This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very rainy Djuma this morning. We've got our roof on. I'm sure we're still going to get wet though. But welcome to your morning safari. My name's John T. We've got BK on the camera. We've got Saber for a bit of extra advice on the back of the car this morning. There were lions roaring to the south of us last night. And we see some of their tracks actually coming in this road, but they've been rained on. I think they were walking during the rain, and the tracks are quite distorted. They look like baby hippo tracks. So we're going to go follow them. I'm presuming they're following the rest of the pride. So there was clarification. Those were the two Talamati young males. Sorry for the confusion. Someone's gonna get a hiding. So please this morning, remember, send through your questions and comments. It really makes the drive much better for us. Use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, @FC on YouTube. And if you're under the age of 18, you can pop us a mail on kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. You can register on the WildEarth website, head over to the live safari page, and you can submit your questions there. I don't know if you can hear the sound of the rain hitting the canvas roof, but it's such a, I don't know, it makes me want to pull a blanket over my head and just go back to sleep sound. FC, it says it sounds like popcorn. Well, that's also not a bad sound at all. Well, let's turn around, because the way I'm parked, the rain is just coming straight onto my leg, which is not Ayoba. Okay, let's go. Oh, good morning, Nadine. I'm sure that's aimed at BK and Saber. Oh, it's so good. Can you see the water comes from there right onto my lap? That is what dreams are made of. That's what I wanted to happen this morning, was to just have water pouring right onto my lap. And it happened, it came true. Like, what are the chances of that happening? I might go buy a lottery ticket today. So, there were lions sort of roaring all over the place last night, and we were all kind of trying to figure out what was going on. It's tough. Obviously, all the roads are going to be wet now. So if they're walking this morning, we're going to see it immediately. But the tracks from last night, a lot of those would have been rained on and washed away. So sometimes the rain can be your friend in helping find things, but also it can also be your enemy, because it washes everything away. While we carry on with our little mission, we're going to have a look at the weather. It might say rain.
Good morning, everyone. And much like Jonty, these impalas on the distance are feeling very similar about the rain. My name is Justin van Bredel, and welcome to my maiden drive at WildEarth on Djuma. I've been privileged in the past 5 years to work west of this concession, so quite familiar with the Sabi Sand north, but a real privilege to come east of our cut line. As you can see, it's been raining solidly since about 3 o'clock this morning. A lot of the game kind of improvising, adapting and overcoming this environmental kind of cue. And yeah, a ranger's worst nightmare, however, very, very advantageous to the bush, and we need it. I tell you, we need it. So this morning what we're going to... Hi there, Dom. Oh, nice woodlands kingfisher calling there. Yes, sometimes they will kind of change behavior, but not kind of reinventing the wheel, so to speak. You know, if it's cold and windy, these animals are going to move into thickets versus open areas. However, kind of bad weather like this can potentially be good for predator movement, because the rain and the sun and the wind is another form of cover, another way of concealing yourselves. That, as well as pachyderms, are not really affected as much, pachyderms being a thick-skinned animal. But the smaller mammals, you know, herds of impala like this, you can see them just on the fringe there of this kind of little open area, potentially spending the night in the thickets to try stay warm and safe and just kind of get through the tough night, you know. We're quite privileged as human beings that we live inside a house, it's nice and warm, we've got a good duvet. These guys don't have that. So they need to kind of make things happen with regards to what they've got, which is the natural resources, that being options of open areas, thick areas, drainage lines, etc. So yeah, they do change somewhat. Hey, likewise, I'm sending them big smiles too. I'm sitting here with Davy on the camera, and I was a tick to a dugger boy the past 2 days. Chris has showed me around really, really nicely. So thank you, gents, for helping me out here. James, I couldn't agree more. Eh? You know, with the rain comes nitrates and phosphates, especially with kind of electrical thunderstorms. And if you look through the herbaceous layer or the grass layer on this open clearing, look at how lush and green it is. I mean, this is the greenest green I've seen in a while. Obviously, the Lowveld is not an evergreen area. Majority of our vegetation is deciduous, which means it will lose its foliage or its leaves during the winter period, which is our dry season. So now that we have had a little bit of rain, still kind of approaching hopefully our peak. Yeah, hope we get more than the annual in the past. Last year we had good rain. Let's hope this year we have even better rain. And even here the frogs are quite chuffed with this morning's precipitation. Alrighty guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to check some boundaries. Talamatis went into Buffalo's Hook. Hopefully there's a leopard or something moving east out of the western sector of Sabi Sands. And yeah, fingers crossed.
As a naturalist, it's really important that I stay up to date and up to breast with what's happening in the wild and in the world around us. The WildEarth app helps us do that and helps us stay abreast with the live interactions of animals every day. We're going to be here at Stony Point bringing you the African penguin story, and we'd love to see you on the app. See you on the beach.
BirdLife South Africa, our country's only dedicated bird conservation organisation. They have been very successful in a number of areas, including the conservation of more than 150,000 hectares of grasslands and estuary habitat, saving thousands of albatrosses in trawl and longline fishing, and training community bird guides as ambassadors for nature in rural areas. Celebrating their official 25th anniversary, they are sharing 25 of their top success stories across their social media platforms. BirdLife South Africa is currently striving towards the conservation of 132 bird species that are heading for extinction. If we conserve birds, we will protect other biodiversity and important habitats that provide clean water and clean air for humans. Their work is forever ongoing. People who love birds can become a member of BirdLife South Africa or make a donation towards a bird conservation project.
Oh, what are you doing? Are you trying out for the ballet? Now it's an itchy bottom. Up we get. Mom's coming. Everybody's moving off.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Oh, that one just tripped off. You're just sitting quietly listening. BK is just zooming around on this bush willow looking at the water droplets. It really is beautiful. It's like a reminder, water is life. But we didn't really hear anything in the way of big mammals. I thought I heard one hyena far off to the north, but let's carry on. We want to go drive that northern boundary. You heard Justin saying he wants to check boundaries, so we're going to check this northern one to see, one, if anything's crossed out, but more importantly, if anything's crossed in. That is what we would like to see. Sabi says we are going to find a leopard with an impala in a tree. So hopefully at some point she's going to tell me where that is, and then we can go look at it. that would be good, eh? But I have mentioned it before, how, and Justin was touching on it, and quite rightly so, saying that these animals are not going to reinvent the wheel when it rains, but for predators, especially if it's the sort of harsher the conditions, the better it is for them. So like high winds, heavy rain, I mean, even if there's a bit of thunder and lightning, I mentioned it before, the most I've ever seen was a male leopard killed 3 impala in a night, had them all in a tree. That was after a really big storm. So obviously the conditions were just so perfect. He was probably removing the impala out of the herd and they didn't even know. So he just kept doing it. So often you'll hear trackers telling the guides in the mornings, after rain like this, initially after the rain, it's unlikely that you're going to find lots of leopard tracks on the road because they're probably all in the block, busy eating. Sometimes you will get, obviously, because nothing goes to plan, you will sometimes find tracks on the road. If you're lucky, it will be a drag mark. Jolly Molly. We never, hopefully, that situation will arise for us to have to drive fast, but currently no. Very relaxed, very chilled. Is that your favorite? The old Ferrari Safari? How often do we find snakes? I mean, they are here. We on drive all the time, especially now the last few days leading up to this rain. It was nice and hot. We're seeing lots of tracks of snakes crossing the road, but you don't often see a snake. It's really tough. They're so well camouflaged. Unless you come around the corner and it's on the road, you get to see it. I did see a snake in the camp the other day, a spotted bush snake, but not as often as you would think. For the amount of snakes that there actually are around, we don't see them that often, which is a bit of a bummer, because sometimes some snake sightings can be really interesting if they're still and you can actually talk about them. Often they're very fleeting. You'll come around the corner, it'll be on the road, it'll get a fright and then get out of Dodge. Yo, I was wondering, I'm heading west now on this cut line. Chris did say the Djuma Pride crossed over here last night heading towards Sydney's dam, which is over there. So I'm presuming that those tracks we saw this morning would have tried to follow. But in the back of my mind, I'm wondering if we shouldn't have checked a bit further that way. The time will tell. While we go along here, you're going to head over to Justin and see what he's up to.
So guys, whilst John is searching for those lions, he also headed towards another boundary just to see what's moving in and out of our area. When it rains like this, a lot of the territorial animals tend to move a little bit more, in my experience anyway. The urine and the middens and whatnot tends to get washed away. So they need to re-establish their territory. When we were driving to Treehouse Dam, where we're sitting at the moment, at the far end you can see a pair of Egyptian geese. We also have a blacksmith lapwing knocking around over here, trying to keep his plumage dry. We saw two hyenas. Not too sure which individuals they were. And as we were kind of trying to set up the shot, they ended up moving into some thick vegetation. What happens now, as rangers, we need to make a call. Is it worth the kind of ecological side of things to try go in? Can we get you guys the shot? For me as a guide, I don't want to damage the habitat unless I can kind of, not that we can guarantee anything, but just make sure I can get you guys the footage or the shot that we're looking for. Out here in the south of the greater park of Kruger National and associated private nature reserves, there's a phenomenon known as a seepline, or it's actually called a catenal effect in terms of conservation. And here's a good example of it while we're sitting at quite a distance. If Darby pans over in front of us, you'll see a very kind of turquoisey tree there. It's called a Terminalia sericea in its scientific or binomial name. English name it is a silver cluster leaf. So look carefully, and we'll revisit this when we kind of get some distance, but that is what we call a Terminalia fringe. Typically the marula is above that because of above the seepline because of geology. A lot of very porous soils there because a lot of the smaller clay content makes its way to the drainage lines or the low-lying areas. If, for an example, now the soil being saturated, if we had to go below the seepline into the bush to follow something, we can potentially get very stuck and ultimately cause a little bit of kind of, not destruction, but disturbance in the area. So unless we know, okay, great, if we go through here, let's stick above the sea plan, let's follow this leopard or lion or whatever it might be, at least we can kind of keep our noses clean. But if you come below that, you might find yourself surprised by, in the local language, Shangan, getting bajiwe. Then you're going to have to phone a friend and hope they pull you out without naming and shaming you too much. So we're going to keep heading towards the boundaries and see what else we can find. So yeah, Jonty, fingers crossed those lions come up, my man. There's a pied kingfisher flapping about. He seems quite chuffed with this morning. Alrighty guys, so we're going to go on a little bit of a bumble now, nice and slow, head towards the boundary because it is getting lighter. You know, I think on a day like today we might be gifted with some of the predators moving a little bit later than the previous days because we finally have had a break off of that intense heat and humidity. So yeah, let's see what else we can find. The treehouse dam seems a little bit void at the moment, but yeah, won't be for too much longer, I'm sure. Hi there, Luke. Much like Chris was mentioning yesterday, I only really started getting into my birds quite late into my career. My big passion is reptiles, particularly snakes. Ironically, birds and snakes share a common ancestor. But yeah, nice aspect of the bush, especially when the larger mammals are playing hard to get. We can always rely on our birds. And to be quite fair, now going into summer with all the migratory species coming back to Southern Africa, it is actually quite a pleasure. Miss those guys. We had a single impala ram running across here. Hey Victor, I like that question. Since a young child, as I mentioned, been passionate about nature, particularly snakes. And yeah, it's one thing I never could forget, you know, always on my mind, always playing outside as a child. And so I tried to pursue a career in it. It resulted me in studying nature conservation after high school and then moving out to Hoedspruit about 11 years ago. Falling in love out here in Hoedspruit, so I never left, and now, yeah, committed my life to conservation of nature and the education to the public thereafter. Because people won't protect what they don't understand. One of our biggest goals as a conservationist is to try create international awareness for the specimens and the species that are under pressure by human beings, not only Southern African specimens. There's a terrapin, yes, a reptile. But the conservation of international species as well. So,
you just got him behind the pole there, mate.
Ah, cool, let me move forward. So this little guy is a serrated hinged terrapin. Just trying to reposition because he's flipping moving. I don't think the tortoise ran the race, maybe the terrapin did. So typically speaking, in Southern Africa, for you guys that are tuning in from kind of an international area, in South Africa we refer to these guys as terrapins. A terrapin is very similar to a tortoise and a turtle. However, terrapins, as this is a prime example thereof, do walk on land as well as living in a majority of an aquatic life. However, they will change pans, especially during big rains like what we did receive yesterday. So this guy might be looking for some different real estate. Looking at this terrapin, they're not sexually dimorphic, which means you can tell male from female just by looking at them. Both male and female look exactly like this. However, we'd have to get out, pick it up, inspect the underpart of their carapace, which is the biological term for their shell. Typically, males will have a little bit of a hollow so that when they approach the female during the breeding season, which we're approaching actually, so potentially this animal could be looking for a mate, the male is able to to actually mount the female. If his carapace on his belly was flat, you would more than likely end up slipping off all the time. So once they have mated, about 3 to 4 months of gestating, the female will leave the pond or the pan, move into the bush, find a good suitable area, dig a burrow and actually deposit her eggs therein, where once the eggs are deposited, she'll leave that burrow. No maternal care with reptiles, typically speaking, with the exception of some pythons as well as crocodiles, alligators included. These guys, you know, what I find very interesting, once working in the just west of Djuma in the northern Sabi Sands, we used to have a nice pathway to the lodge, and there was a buffalo bull who got buzzed by some lions and he ended up losing his tail. It was actually lovely because we could smell him before we could see him, so it was a good early warning system. But I watched that buffalo for months on end, you know, kind of not got attached, but I was interested in his movements. And we'd see him lying in a wallow some morning or some afternoons when it was hot, and you can see he's kind of flinching as something is touching his backside. So, you know, imagination running wild, not really sure what this is. And lo and behold, a terrapin popped up. So, much like the oxpeckers, red and yellow-billed, the symbiotic relationship of kind of parasite removal or injury maintenance with the birds on larger mammals, this reptile was kind of filling the aquatic niche therein, because if that buffalo went into the pan, that section of that bull wasn't available to the oxpeckers, and so the niche was available to the terrapin to actually fill it, feeding on the ticks as well as any kind of infection around that wound. In this particular instance, it was the wound of the lack of the tail on that buffalo. Kept it nice and open, which, you know, we think, oh, oof, it's a shame, you know, very, very raw. But it helped him to heal, you know, constant supply of good blood, getting that infection at bay, and this buffalo made a full recovery, 100%. It was a very, very nice kind of story to watch unfold. So you can see now this terrapin has pulled itself into its shell. Typically speaking, you know, I don't speak terrapin, but I'm assuming that he is a little bit stressed. So we're going to leave this terrapin alone. That is typically a defense behavior, and keep bumbling towards our boundaries.
WildEarth's live safaris have been free to watch for all our viewers around the world since 2007, and this will never change. From December the 8th, 2021, WildEarth will no longer broadcast the full 3-hour safari on YouTube, Facebook or Twitch. But you can still watch the full live safari on the WildEarth channel for free or on one of our many apps. To begin with, we will continue to broadcast the first hour of each safari on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch, so you have some time to find a new place to watch that works for you. The chat will be available on our website, and for those who struggle to find the time to watch live, recent past live broadcasts will be available on our apps for you to catch up. Please head over to our website to see where you can watch and chat.
There is clearly something in the vicinity around you that's drawn their attention. Yes, that meerkat in the tree is just the coolest of cool meerkats. But watch how he battles when he comes down. That would be like me climbing a tree, just better.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Yeah, we're just trying to reposition. There's a little small accipiter of sorts flying around that I was trying to get a look at, and I just turned off the road and heard this horrific crunch. And I was hoping it wasn't a tortoise. And it wasn't, it was a log. I'm lucky. My whole guiding career, I haven't... Whoa! I haven't driven over a tortoise, which I'm so glad, because I'd feel horrendous. There are some outrageous stories of what's happened. Did you ever hear about there was someone, we'll keep the lodge location a mystery and the person's name, but she reversed in the sighting, and I mean sometimes it's hard in the grass and stuff, but she hit the tortoise, and like obviously it was fatally wounded, and she just wanted to put it out of her misery, so she took her rifle out and shot it, which obviously did the trick. It killed the tortoise outright, but she did it next to the car, so everyone who was sitting on the car ended up with a bit of tortoise on them.
And tonight.
Yeah. So, yeah, a bit of a brain malfunction there, unfortunately, for that guide. So just to let you know what we've done, we did a loop along the boundary. We didn't see anything there, but we can only presume that those lions were moving to catch up with the rest of their pride. Now we've come back down, we checked along Sandy Patch, Vuyatela access. We kind of, after the rain like this I was talking about earlier, we've just got to kind of crisscross as many roads as possible to try and see if we can find some tracks. Because we'll get a bit of a nice view on where to look. But also must say it's nice, the rain stopped now, so it's this beautiful temperature. There's some nice light coming through the green against this like really moody sky. So good. All we need now is like drop. Oh, hello. Go nicely off the road. Doop, 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 doop. Good morning. Have a good day. I wonder if we should check Triple M. I think I'm going to. I want to check this section of Triple M. See. While we go down towards Triple M, Justin's also on a little bumblebee tuna.
As Chanty's making his way to Triple M, we just turned onto Triple M, so that's quite ironic. So yeah, we seem to have the same plan. Just checking the boundaries, because you know sometimes animals' territories are a lot larger than what typical private traversing is. We do have elephant dung here, quite fresh ellie dung. So let's see, maybe Chris's buddies have made a return. Going through a bit of a dip here, might lose us a little bitty, but let's get back onto the crest. For what it's worth, that road is called Zebra Drive. Hey Andrew, that's a nice question. For me personally, I love following prides of lions. There's just something about it, you know, walking behind a lion footprint that is gigantic. It's just wild, man. So that's my favorite animal to track. Little dove, sorry man. Shame, he looks sopping wet from the rain yesterday. Maybe he's a bit waterlogged. So guys, I'm gonna make space. We've got a vehicle that wants to overtake us. Sorry about that. Adios muchachos. I hope the drive to town is good. So let's give him a chance just to move on here. So while we're waiting for that, we're sitting in another Terminalia fringe. Look at how they're starting to pop up here. Especially these guys on the edge, and behind there, the marullas. Morning, Bill. Well, maybe it's morning where you are, it's morning where I am. Yes, it can be potentially detrimental to that animal because if the feathers are very, very heavy or waterlogged, if a predator's trying to grab that bird, it might not be able to take off in time. So it can potentially be detrimental. Coming across some evidence of elephants again, kind of in and out of the concession to our left and Djuma. So let's hope that they're quite distributed this morning and we actually have a view from our cut line. If not, let's hope they went back into Djuma. Come on, Ellies. Giraffe girl. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I'll take anybody at this stage. But I was thinking about Cara recently. I believe she was feeding just outside of the Djuma Traverse, and I thought just maybe we get lucky with some activity of her on this boundary. Working just on the opposite side of the road, I sometimes used to chance this particular cut line, and every once in a while it's quite fruitful, eh? Yeah, look ahead of us, there's Jonty. I tell you, these birds are so chuffed with this morning. Woodlands kingfishers going absolutely ballistic. There he is somewhere. Can I cut right here? Cool. We're gonna just get out of Jonty's way. He's just come down that portion of Triple M, so by means of elimination, I'm assuming there's not much happening that side. So let's go in here. Laura Moore, which animal best represents me? I don't think I've ever been asked that question before, eh? Yo, that's a good question. I'm born in August, so maybe Leo, maybe a lion, not an adult male, maybe a sub-adult. And even a chameleon's pretty chilled, I like them too. I mean, guys, look at all of the color. You know, working in a commercial lodge, you often are exposed to tour agents and so on. And we would hear time in and time out, when is the best time to come on a safari? Winter, winter, winter. Me personally, and it's just my personal choice, but I think summer is really the best, because in winter, this array of colors, the diversity, the productivity, the smaller food chains, everything goes dormant. We've got yellow hibiscus flowers, that kind of purpley flower. To my knowledge, Chris is very good with these wildflowers. I've noticed over the past kind of 36 hours, but that to me is a Solanum mauritianum. Chris, poison apple?
Correct.
Yay. Cool stuff, we agree. And I mean, just something as simple as this, you don't get that. Not to mention the insects associated to the pollination of these wildflowers. And even wildflowers are very short-lived, you know, it's only kind of for a short burst, the difference between perennial and annual plants. Perennial being for a period, annual being throughout the entire year. Sometimes, you know, when you're trying to find elephants, it's sometimes a good idea just to stop, slow down, switch the engine off, and listen. Potentially these guys are browsing. Browsing means feeding on trees, because elephants are bulk feeders. They are mega herbivores, the biggest thing to walk the face of the planet. So potentially, just maybe, there's a marilla tree, a female that is producing fruit, and we hear a good solid snap. Now, sometimes the poor anti-poaching units that are in all the reserves in Southern Africa sometimes get sent into the bush. Somebody phones and says, you know what, I've just heard a gunshot. What? Get out there, get out there. And they go to where it is, and it's actually an elephant that's feeding on a tree. They need Rangers of the Year awards, I think. But yeah, so it's very important to listen. Use all your senses in nature.
I've always dreamed of Africa since I was a little girl. And then I just decided, you know what? It's time to come. It's time to just live the dream.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
It is so exciting. You're able to see the difference of what you see on TV to how much work it actually is creating what you see on TV. The leopards, mareeps. How could you not really fall in love with that cat? He's got such a personality, and you never know what he's going to do.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's about just being together and seeing and enjoying the animals and the great outdoors. It's just been a great experience. Certainly, if anyone's able to, dare to dream and come.
Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
So there we go, look. All three in one frame. Look at that, isn't that cool? Oh, that is so special. That is exactly what we had been hoping for. is all three of them to come together and make the perfect little family portrait.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Losing John. He maybe is in a drainage line. You're more than welcome to join us. Oh, there he goes. But that's called the emerald spotted wood dove or green spotted dove, depending on what name you prefer. I learned the old name, emerald spotted wood dove, and for me personally, I like to stay there. You can see, let me just kind of switch the engine off. You can see how fluffed up and chilly this poor little guy is. Pecking around the floor, foraging maybe for some grass seeds, and yeah, hopefully actually starts to warm up a bit. Now that we've stopped, I can hear a foamless tree frog calling to our left. Oh, here comes a female comb duck. I don't know if you guys can see that, it's hard to film. Oh, it's actually her calling, not a tree frog, it's a comb duck. That's awesome. Sorry, little birdie. Oopsie. You can see the tail feathers all stuck together, nice and wet still. So quite often you might find these birds, you feel like you're pushing them on the road, yeah, but they're also enjoying the openness of the road, I think. But we also kind of need to head down here. Got another guy in the tree, a turtle dove. Oh, what looks like to be a chagra. Oops, gone. Those are vistas, eh? You know, so I'm sure you guys know where we're kind of streaming from, but we're sitting in the Sabi Sand Game Reserve. To the north of us, maybe 15 k's or so, is Manyeleti. Over Manyeleti is Timbavati, past that is Kaseri, past that Beluli, Olifants north and west, the Umbabat, and the entire Kruger National Park. No fences, completely open. In my opinion, the best thing conservationists did was that move. And obviously it was quite tricky because we ended up boundarying with Mozambique and Zimbabwe, where, you know, you won't believe it, but we have no fences with them either. So it's formed what is now known as the Limpopo Trans-Frontier Park. And this place, everyone, is, in my opinion, the last remaining true wilderness of Southern Africa. And I absolutely count my blessings that I'm able to call this place home and to actually have a career out of it. You know, don't forget the pressure COVID-19 has put on the reserves globally, ecotourism globally. We need you guys to visit. So if you had to zoom yourself out, you know, as I was describing those reserves, where are the lions, leopards, elephants? Hey man, it's anybody's guess. That's why every day it's important to come out. You know, some people wake up and read a newspaper. Rangers wake up and we read the soil, because there's a whole story left behind from the nocturnal creatures. Obviously we're dealing with a bit of environmental factors. Last night about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, a lot of rain, completely new slate. Hey there, Shenzi. Yes, without a doubt, it will influence the pans and the dams in a very positive manner. If we get a storm, right? We're very fortunate that before today we have had a few preceding kind of rain. So the soil tends to become known as saturated. Saturated means the soil is holding as much water as it possibly can. Woodland's calling again. Yes. And there's a communal spider web nest. And Oh, pity, guys. Oh, there's a spiderweb nest. Doesn't look active, but the roof is blocking us. Hopefully we find another one close by. But yes, so the pans will fill up with the runoff of the water because the soil is saturated. Teeing up the area for the dry season, which is the winter period of Southern Africa. Anywhere maybe May, June, July, August, September 1st, we consider it spring day, but the rains don't return exactly on September 1st, you know. Rain, as I said earlier, rain is nightmare, but it's actually a blessing because we can't control the weather. We can't guarantee that it's coming back either. So you might find us kind of bouncing every now and again like that. That tends to be little, what in conservation terms we refer to as dongas, little kind of eroded areas forming because the water is starting to run off with the slope of the hill passing the terminalia fringe, hopefully into some pans that can hold the water very well because of a higher clay content down in the valleys. Hi there, Lisa Marie. The rarest bird I've ever seen. Not quite sure. Ground hornbills are always special, you know, rare in terms because they're quite endangered. Thankfully, there's a very good breeding program to help them. I've seen a bird before called Narina trogon, closer to the Blue Canyon or the Blyder River. That's also, I won't call it kind of endangered or anything, just scarce or elusive. I'm still trying to see a Pulse fishing owl. That one is a hard one. Oh, I remember. The rarest bird I've seen is a pennet-winged nightjar. I saw it close to Londolozi boundary, and I nearly drove into a tree because as it took off, I did this. Yeah, it was amazing. That is the rarest bird I've seen. Yeah, no, first and last one, eh? Couldn't believe it. And it had those beautiful long plumages. So it's good to interact because you guys draw these memories and these wonderful experiences out of us as guides, eh? Yeah, impalas. Fantastic. My favorite antelope is an impala. Yeah, we got some fresh hyena tracks. Oops, I'm getting lost. Anna Marie, I like lions, you know. I mean, leopards are fantastic, don't get me wrong, but something about a lion, the fact that they're the only gregarious cat in the world, it's just something about them, eh? So as you can see, we're still kind of searching the blocks, seeing if we can find anything, any kind of hairy and scary things. Not that they're very scary, they're actually beautiful. And yeah, fingers crossed, let's just keep checking, try as we may.
Look at that, it's amazing. Wow, hey.
And 5, 4, 3, 2,
1, live. Oh, that's cool. Just in there.
And the black mamba's going up the tree and the mongoose is attacking it.
She's gonna pounce again.
Sure, you can all agree with me. It's not a bad start to our Wednesday morning.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
Look at that. It's just beautiful.
Fantastic display by a little herd of springbuck.
How is this view?
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Amazing, they've locked their tusks together. You can hear the cracking branches.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin, and it's completely unfazed by my presence whatsoever.
How insane is that animal?
Amazing.
Hey.
Oh, awesome.
It is fantastic to watch.
Well, now we've got a tug of war between mom and daughter, look.
I'm just at a loss for words. That's just incredible to see that.
Welcome back to John T. BK and the Saber Show. So we're back now. We've kind of done the roads to the north and west around Vuurtele access. We went on the boundary, came in power lines, Impala Road. There's a lot of hyena tracks running around. We did hear some hyenas calling south of where I am now, probably a bit more south and west. We are, if you haven't recognized it, on quarantine. I want to go down and check. Oh, that is such a cool sound, these woodlands kingfishers. I want to go down and check Djuma Dam, check some of the central areas, maybe even poke our noses in at the Hyena Den. And what would a game drive be without a visit to Chitwa Dam? Morning, Benny. I hope you are doing super well. No, I don't think sad is the right word, because we're still just cruising around in this amazing place. So obviously having those cool sightings can be really exciting, but it's also just super cool to just cruise around. Be outside and feel the wind on your face, listen to the birds. See imaginary leopards. I just saw on the side of a termite mound. So definitely not. It's always great to just be out and drive around. Well, for me, I love it, enjoying the fresh air. You're always seeing a whole bunch of things, tracks, birds, there's insects all over the place. This time of year there's so many beautiful flowers. I think it's just also, you know, the world these days moves so fast, everything's so quick. And when you're out here, it actually moves so slowly. So when you're not seeing things, you sort of start moving a bit slower. and just enjoying the quieter things and the sort of more peaceful moments. And it's often in those moments when you'll find a track, or you might hear a bird alarm calling, or hear a hyena calling, or a leopard rasping, and then you can get on to that more exciting stuff. But thank you very much, Benny. Yeah, I tell you what, that would be really interesting. I got to tell you, my insect knowledge, you'd have to be the most patient viewers in the world, because I'd probably be looking up every single insect that we found. But it would be really interesting. The other day when we did that brackenid wasp, that was amazing, and the colors in that, maybe that should be a segment. They should do like a half an hour segment on macro, with a macro lens on insects, because some of the colors you'd see are unbelievable. But let's try. I'll see. If I see an insect, even if I don't know what it is, we can stop and have a look at it. And try and figure out what it is. I believe Saber is an insect expert. Oh, that's it, Peter. I must say, most of the time I do like trying to find something. So like I like to piece together that, find a track, see where it's going, figure out what it was doing, and that whole search, I do love that. But you're 100% right. Sometimes that's like almost mindless, cruising around and just enjoying yourself is very, very cool. But I think when you've got guides on a car, there's never really mindless driving around, because we become so conditioned. You're always taking in little bits and pieces of information that mold your decisions anyway. Valerie, sometimes mosquitoes will bite you. It depends where you are cruising around. Some parts of where I've been in Zimbabwe and Zambia, you get hammered by tsetse flies. So I've been bitten by tsetse flies, mosquitoes, what else? Ticks. Been bitten by ticks. Scorpion, spider, but that's all. Where? Oh, well spotted. I'm going to go a little bit further forward. Saber spotted a very cool bird. I don't want to go too close because I don't want to make it. I'm just going to go up to this little bump here, BK. I'd rather start from further away and actually get a cool view of it. That's a southern ground hornbill. In this area there's been a pair cruising around. And I do love, they are like gangsters. When they're walking, you almost want to play the theme song for Peaky Blinders. Every time I see them, I imagine that tune as they walk through the grass, just looking for things to eat.
Yeah, you know where the guys that left the Masolo last night?
So I'm just going to talk on the radio quickly. They're just trying to figure out where we left the dogs yesterday. But now this chap is just talking endlessly.
Also check the Limpopo.
This is one of the longest radio conversations I'm waiting to get in on.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Oh my goodness. This is unbelievable. The longest conversation without any actual information being... I mean, imagine I was trying to get in like an emergency call. Woosa.
Okay, copy. Yeah, now I'm here at Jakarta line. I'm heading north, so I have to go to the area where we share the Djuma. I have to go there. That's my position.
Like it, I'm so glad that we managed to bump into this one on the road. Fanwell coming for Jonty.
Yeah, go Jonty.
Fanwell, I left the Madash. They were mobile in the block between Gallagher Shortcut Link and Mvubu Road, heading south and east. But I didn't see them come out of that block, but they were heading south.
Okay, thank you so much. This morning or last night?
That was yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
So I'm always hopeful to see when you watch these ground hornbills moving through the grass that they catch a snake, because you see like they just kick it and then just gobble it up. Craig was telling us yesterday in the Masai Mara he saw one put its beak right through a tortoise shell. So they will catch tortoises, chameleons, snakes, insects, scorpions, all sorts. One of the ground hornbill researchers was telling me they had seen a hornbill with 7 different prey species in its beak, carrying them back to the chicks. A really, really fascinating bird. And I'm hoping that these two are pairing up and will breed. But I don't know where the second one is. Maybe, just maybe.
Yeah, Trevor, make your way straight here. The 2 Ingo, I'm just lounging a meaty with some meat, but go and join them there. Okay, just give us the location then, please. Chitwa, this is Katlan, south of old railway.
Did you have it? Yeah, that's a good mix of beasts. They've got unbelievable eyesight. If it comes closer to us, we might be able to get a great view. They've got beautiful eyes, big black eyelashes. So they've got really good eyesight for spotting their prey. And obviously an incredibly powerful beak. But one of the things that is amazing is that the chicks will help the parents raise sort of subsequent chicks. until they find an appropriate partner to go off and breed with themselves. But they could do that for 35 years. They will stay with their parents and help. I mean, that is ridiculous. So these ground hornbills, they can live between 60 and 70 years, which is unbelievable. It's really, really cool. Now, these birds could potentially be wandering around here long after I'm gone. J-Dog. So it's... Oh, I thought it was going to do it there. So it's a couple of things. One is the uses for cooling down, but also it's a display. You see when they call, you'll see that almost expand for that big, deep, booming sound. Let me try and find a book here. So I want to show you a picture of the difference between the two. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but the other hornbill is actually calling. Why can't I see hornbill in my book? Oh, what a bummer. I'm just going to keep quiet for a little bit in case it calls again a little bit louder. I'd love you to hear that. Let me go forward a little bit. I want to see if I can see the second one. No. Sorry. I could see where it landed there. I wonder if that's where the other one is. So I'm just going to try to see if I can see the two of them in this tree.
the lionesses. We had Darkman, of course, doing his best to protect them and to catch a buffalo for them for dinner. But unfortunately, as soon as the buffalo came along, he hot-tailed in the opposite direction. No, we're having a fabulous time, and it's really been magnificent so far. Thank you.
Wildlife trafficking remains a growing problem in South Africa, and often made worse by the way the media portray this complex issue. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, have recently embarked on a program whereby they train reporters to better tell stories of wildlife trafficking.
In my community, wildlife conservation is mostly something other people do, and I would like to change that. My name is Iman Singli. I told people I met that the pangolin is one of the most trafficked animals on the planet. But what is a pangolin, they said? Why is it in danger? This is what made me decide that the pangolin story must be told. If we are to play a part in preventing the extinction of this animal, then we must all be part of the battle.
A partnership between WWF South Africa and WESA, supported by USAID.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. And he's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
Are you guys hearing? Okay, just coming up onto the ridge here, seeing what's down in the next valley. Still got some doves with us. And yeah, let's just keep bumbling, you know. On days like today, what I found works quite well is we just keep cruising slowly, checking the areas, checking the blocks. Hopefully things start moving behind us and ahead of us and so on. So this is why sometimes you loop around once or twice. Much like what Chris did yesterday, and we found the lions again, you know, so it's very important. Sometimes there's method to the madness, not just driving in circles just for fun, but we're actually trying to achieve something here. Hi there, Kenneth. That's a fantastic question because we need all sorts of aids and I tell you, nature's a lot smarter than what we give her credit. Some birds, like take for an example a woodlands kingfisher. We've got the Drakensberg mountain down the east in Africa. It's called what we call the escarpment. Some birds will actually follow that escarpment up or down depending on which way they're migrating, and yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. I have heard in some nature documentaries that some kind of magnetic poles might be at play here, but research is critically important. Unfortunately, in conservation areas, because of the more important pandemic of poaching is so bad, we don't have a lot of budget in conservation areas anymore to actually research things. So yeah, we have to kind of wait for to get to grips with the loss of biodiversity, and then we can actually start studying the biodiversity again. So in a nutshell, maybe kind of like topography. Sorry about that, guys. I seem to be losing a bit of signal, potentially weather related. And yeah, birds, I tell you, I don't know how they migrate so far, but they must use the environment to their advantage, potentially kind of unchanging structures, much like mountain ranges. I don't know, ahead of us we've got the Drakensberg towards the west of us. Maybe if we get a good crest we'll stop and show that to you guys. It looks beautiful, much like Table Mountain, with a lovely kind of cloak of clouds coming off of the escarpment. Alright, there's a little dam ahead of us here. Let's go see potentially if there's something moving in that area. Jonty's also leaving his ground hornbill sighting and also bumbling along, seeing what else we can bump into.
Going? Sorry, Mel, where did you say they're going to check out? We got an update that Tundi was spotted now around somewhere on Chitwa, so we are going at warp speed. It's Tundi and Maroops, but it sounds like they had a kill. I think hyenas robbed them, so we want to go and get there and see what's happening, which is very radical. So we're not quite hitting Ferrari Safari. Oh, I love spiderweb in the mouth. We're not hitting Ferrari Safari just yet, but we're certainly picking up the pace. Just because of where Tundi and Maroops have been called in, it's like right on the edge of where we can go. So I'm hoping they're going to come more in so we can see them. So Saber was right. If we had got there enough, we would have seen these leopards with a kill, which is exactly what Saber said she was hoping for us to find today. But the hyenas got there first. Come on, Franklins. So we're currently on a road called Central. It kind of cuts right through the middle of Djuma. We're trying to just use the quickest ways possible to get us there. I always feel so bummed for leopards when they lose their prey to hyenas, especially Tundi at this stage. We were talking about it the other day, as how Maroops, he's getting big now, so he will also sort of pirate most of the kill from her. And so every time they lose one, it just means she's got to catch one even sooner than she probably would have anyway. So hopefully they had enough of it, so they at least got to cure some of their appetite. Whoa.
Hello everyone, my name is JP. I'm one of your WildEarth eco-training bushwalk guides. So for many years you've been watching WildEarth directly from your laptop or computer. However, now you can watch it directly from your connected TV, your Apple TV, or from your Roku box. And if you are like me, always busy, you can now download the WildEarth app and view it directly from your mobile phone.
BirdLife South Africa, our country's only dedicated bird conservation organization. They have been very successful in a number of areas, including the conservation of more than 150,000 hectares of grasslands and estuary habitat, saving thousands of albatrosses in trawl and longline fishing, and training community bird guides as ambassadors for nature in rural areas. Celebrating their official 25th anniversary, they are sharing 25 of their top success stories across their social media platforms. BirdLife South Africa is currently striving towards the conservation of 132 bird species that are heading for extinction. If we conserve birds, we will protect other biodiversity and important habitats that provide clean water and clean air for humans. Their work is forever ongoing. People who love birds can become a member of BirdLife South Africa or make a donation towards a bird conservation project.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephants, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. Absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
I am an outdoor photographer, a wildlife filmmaker, and a conservation storyteller. Penguin Beach is going to offer us this really unique opportunity to watch and pick up on the smallest of details in the penguins' lives. It's going to allow us the time to really get to know these penguins well, get to know their story, and get to interpret the little finer details and share that with you with a live TV show and get you to fall in love with penguins.
Welcome back, everyone. Oh, and Murphy's, okay, there he's back. We've made our way through to Buffelshoek Dam just to double check what might have moved through here in the evening. And lo and behold, we found ourselves a hippo, what I'm assuming is to be a bull. Maybe it's the hippo that moved out of Treehouse Dam, for all we know. You know, when it comes to identifying individual animals, unless they've got a spot pattern like a leopard or something, it can be quite tricky. So you need to look for certain characteristics, unique scars, but be careful with scars. Scars can change on you, but you need to kind of look at the holistic approach of the animal. Oh, there he ducks. You know, I think this water underneath that water is a little bit warmer than the actual kind of outside climate at the moment. We've got also an Egyptian geese one goose directly behind that hippo. And this hippo, chances are likely, has just recently made his way back from grazing on grass. You know, hippos are bulk grazers. Can you believe that body is powered by grass, much like buffalo and another large herbivore that we're actually facing extinction with, which is a true tragedy. So these animals cover vast distances at night. They do this at night because their skin is actually very sensitive to sunlight. I'm sure somebody has mentioned this to you guys before, but hippos, they can't handle direct sunlight, especially during the heat of the low-fat very, very well. Some people have seen hippo it gave rise to this rumor that hippos would sweat blood, but it's not actually blood. It is a secretion, but it has a little bit of a kind of a ruby tinge to it if the light catches it at the right angle. And it aids them in protection against the UV of the sunlight. But just sitting around this dam, you know, there's a lot going on here. On the opposite side, on the southern side, I think overcast weather, new area. I'm not really sure on my bearings just yet, but I think that's south. We're looking at a pushed over tree, potentially from an elephant, potentially from a big wind kind of gust that pushed it down. Now it's completely open to buffalo weavers making a nest. And what I think I'm starting to see is a foam nest, tree frog nest. So we can go a little bit closer and go and see what's happening there. The foam nest tree frog is quite unique with regards to its kind of breeding and how it incubates its eggs. And fingers crossed the water level hasn't dropped too much for those poor little tadpoles. Let's quickly head to the southern end and see if we can see that little white patch that pushed over tree there quickly. You know, briefly talking about hippos, it's a large mammal. rather dangerous, responsible for a lot of human fatalities in Africa as a whole. And one needs to always bear in mind, running water in your household is still a privilege in Africa as a whole. A lot of people are still collecting water from natural water sources like this. Unfortunately, you need your water in the morning to get ready for your day, do your thing, and in the evening. Unfortunately, that kind of links in with hippo activity, and one of the worst places you can be is between a hippo and its water source. Their safety point is the water. That being said, you might wonder why they never formed part of the Big Five. It's a little bit melancholic talking about how the Big Five was formed. Back in the early days of this, there was some hunting happening in this area. And just bear in mind, hunting, ecotourism, and conservation is a triangle that need one another to balance. We need each other here. And hippos weren't really the most dangerous thing to hunt because these guys could find water sources and they could just stand on the edge, do what they got to do, and retrieve their apparent trophy. It's not my scene, but yes, there is a role for it in conservation. Unfortunately, from this southern end, it actually looks like a torchwood, Balanites magavie. We can't really see that foamless tree frog nest, but we do have a bit of a visual of the buffalo weaver. Somebody yesterday was asking Chris about the little five, and he was talking about a buffalo weaver. Well, that clump of kind of stereotypically untidy twigs is a buffalo weaver's nest, and they're gregarious birds, so living in groups and nesting together. I'm sure it helps with recruitment of chicks to adulthood, rather have them all in one place. So should a snake or a African harrier hawk or a gymnogene get a couple, some can still make it through to adulthood. But I think let's keep slowly bumbling. Let's keep covering some distance and see what else we can come across this morning. Hey, happy hyena. Very good question. In my experience in the bush, crocodiles and hippo, they don't really conflict too much for as long as there's enough space. Space meaning enough area of water for them to cover because they're very aquatic. Interestingly enough, a hippo's scientific name is Hippopotamus amphibius. Amphibious or amphibian is Latin for two worlds, an aquatic world as well as a terrestrial one. So a hippo spending time on daylight hours in the water, feeding at night on land, I suppose, or outside of the water gave rise to that botanical name. But during drought years, or years of bad rainfall, when the water become very, very limited, tempers may fly. And I'll tell you what, the female hippo as well as the bull will go to many lengths to protect their calves from crocodiles. Bear in mind, you do need quite a large crocodile to take down a hippo, but it does happen, particularly more common to see in the Zambezi area, on the Zambezi River. But don't underestimate our greater Kruger hippos and crocodiles. The crocs do prey on the hippos from time to time, and the hippos are eliminating the threat to their calves from time to time with regards to potentially biting and puncturing crocodiles, severely injuring them, causing their demise. When we lose an animal in the bush, it is quite sad, but one needs to understand that is the flow of energy. This is how it is transmitted from the vegetation through to meat into the carnivores kind of realm, and it's just the flow. From ashes to ashes and dust to dust. We're all going to go that way. You can see, I don't know if you guys noticed the change in the soil color here. Jake, the most common mammal we see, for me, I will go for an impala. They're very, very common. It doesn't mean we must treat them with any less respect though. If an animal is doing so well, or a species is doing so well like that, it means to me that they're really, really suited and good at what they do. You know, they filled that niche. I love evolution for that matter. It doesn't give you any extras. You don't get more than what you need, and you don't really get less than what you need. They evolve perfectly for that niche, and if they do well and kind of gain that kind of momentum through the evolutionary process, the species will survive. I mean, evolution is an ongoing thing. As an example, we've got some elephants being born without tusks. A lot of ecologists believe that that could be the species evolving against poaching, against the human pressure we've put on them from them being hunted for meat during civil wars in our area, through to people hunting them for trophies, all the way back, I assume, to the kind of mammoth days, you know. So we're kind of pushing this evolutionary process a little bit faster than what nature might have intended. We need to be careful of that, because nature is much like a bird bath or a pool on a cold winter's morning. When humans touch it once, those ripples keep going, and we don't know the effect we've got, you know. Nature responds really slowly. 20 to 30 years it takes for it to respond, and for us to realize, oops, we've made some managerial mistakes. As an example, artificial water. And yeah, we need to monitor. We need people watching this stuff day in and day out. Because the goal of biodiversity conservation is to keep as much species alive for as long as possible for future generations. The work that I'm doing, Chris, Darby, all the other guides out there, is not for us. It's so that we leave something for the future. You know, much like there's a saying, we never inherited this from our ancestors. We're borrowing this from our children. So be careful and be gentle. Can you imagine how clean our oceans would be if all of us just every day would just dispose of our waste correctly, recycle properly, actually put in a little bit of effort. You know, the human species is the only animal that, in my opinion, isn't working towards a greater ecological good. Everything else is contributing, and the majority of us globally aren't, which is pretty sad, because we're supposed to be the supreme ape, you know. We're supposed to be clever, but we're destroying our habitat. How does that work? Speaking about habitats and people, you guys know the newest or almost recognized new habitat to the world is the concrete jungle, and that's no joke. Birds like peregrine falcons nesting on buildings instead of in trees or rock crevices because we changed it. You guys know that song, "We've paved paradise and put up a parking lot"? There's, oh my goodness, is that a bushbuck? Yay! Hello. You're beautiful. Okay, goodbye. Nice to see you. There's another one. So that looks like, oh, a third one. Guys, I think we hit the jackpot. And a squirrel. So bushbuck, very closely related to kudus, but ever so slightly different. And in between kudus, nyala, then we have a bushbuck. So let's just see. Oh, beautiful. There's another one. Looks like she's got a little injury. Oh, my bad. This is not a bushbuck. These are actually nyalas. Those calves threw me off. Now that they're coming through the thickets, that's actually fantastic. Yeah, so sometimes it mustn't be so quick to judge. You know, sometimes sit back, just take it in, and identify what you're looking at before you start rambling off. It's a whole bunch of females here. Typically they are in a harem, which has got a male with them. So maybe this bull is knocking around here. Hopefully nothing happened to him last night. Look at those ears. So watch their feet carefully if you can. They are directly registering their feet. Look carefully. The front foot goes down and the back foot goes almost exactly where the front foot was. It's a very nice way of keeping yourself incognito during the thickets, you know, because of branch breaking. We were using the same technique to find elephants. Well, leopard and lion pay attention to that too, not to mention wild dog and hyena as well, because hyenas do hunt for themselves where necessary. Look at that little calf. That's the one that threw the curveball at me. Hello, little nyala. A little kind of injury on her cheek there. I don't know if it was a thorn or something penetrated her. Look at that unique pattern on that female's flank there. You know, something like that could be quite a nice way to identify these individual, or that individual within this herd. I'm going to send you guys off to Jonty. He's on his way to Torchwood Dam, or he might be there already. You're going to keep bumbling, but hey, what a pleasant surprise.
Everybody, we are at Torchwood Dam. We got the worst news possible. After rushing here, Tundi and Marips went where we can't go. It's like someone just putting a little pinprick in your balloon. Boop. But anyway, it's still a beautiful place to be hanging out now where we are. We've just been enjoying these hippo. We saw some waterbuck on the way in. I'm just going to not talk for a little bit, just so you can enjoy the sounds and scenes here from Torchwood Dam. Eleanor, yeah, bring it. I've got no problem. It is really a beautiful spot. I wouldn't mind setting up my hammock somewhere here.
That's my boy.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Wow, what a way to start off
bright colors and it attracts the insect to the flower, which is exactly what we're watching right now. This is so exciting. Oh, there's two.
Hello, Mama. It's all good. Hi. Hi.
The smallest baby black-backed jackal I have seen in the wild. Look how full the belly is.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin. They just make me feel alive.
That is incredibly sweet. Grooming each other.
Play is vital. This is how they learn. This is how they would tackle prey.
There you go, there you go. There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
Look at this, everybody. We got a live kill. There's nowhere to go.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Live.
There she goes, going for the youngster. She got it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at that.
There's insanely good footage.
We're still just hanging out at Torchwood Dam. We just had some Egyptian geese making an absolute racket, chasing each other around. I don't know if any of the viewers watching in South Africa have seen a thing called bushfighter. It's like this, I don't know, this comic thing about this animation about guys in four-ways, but you could definitely voice over Egyptian geese using bushfighter. But exactly, FC, the boots of the bush. It was so funny, they're like opening their wings facing each other. I just finished chest day, but don't cause trouble here with my girls. But I think we might leave this bushfighter scene and go check some of the other parts of Chitwa before we move back onto Djuma. It's a bit sad that Thandi and Marief's moved where we can't see them, but that's fine. There are other leopards that move around, so let's go across the dam wall here and have a little sniff around. Actually, let's go this way. Let's start in the west and move east. How's these lion tracks here? So yeah, if you haven't and you know anybody from Fourways, please just go YouTube bushfighter and send your comments in, because it's like a stereotype of the area and it's so good. It provides a lot of laughs. But anyway, back to Game Drive. The update we got was that she moved off onto that other property, but you never know. Maybe she was, I don't know which direction the hyenas stole her kill, so sometimes they'll trail the hyena a little bit in the hope that they could regain the kill, or reclaim, sorry, would be the right word. So maybe she's just doing that, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that she might come back, but we'll do that loop and check there, that last area where they saw her, and then carry on further east and see if we can find something else. While we carry on with our plan, you're going to head over to Justin.
There you go. I'll check on this. Just pop on the dashboard.
On the dash, eh?
Nasty. One of the hot, horrid ticks.
Hey guys, so while we heard a squirrel going off ever so slightly next to us here. So while we switched off and we're just kind of paying attention to that squirrel, looking down at the grass, you can see some ticks here. Shame, these ticks also look pretty cold. But what these ticks are doing is ticks are kind of, you know, they're parasitic. They do spread disease. They're not the most pleasant things to be bitten by as a human. However, the spread of disease is a form of population control. You can see on the little woven parts of the dash cover how kind of small they are, but they're quite big. Obviously, they are not full with blood or anything. They're still waiting for their host. So what happens is, quite often, is they hatch out of an egg into a nymph form, and they start to make their way out of the soil onto vegetation. When mammals, reptiles, or any host really, birds, anything, come walking past you, they will extend their front legs and attach themselves onto this animal, moving with the grain of the hair against the grain, to get into those dark, warm and hard to reach places of people and animals alike. And that's where they'll set up shop, so to speak. They'll bite you, or the host, the animal. They'll inject an anticoagulant, and they're going to sit there and drink blood until they're ready to fall off. They gorge themselves and completely distort their bodies. It looks like we've got two species of tick here. One of them is the born tick, the other one I'm not entirely sure. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research when we get back to the camp and just kind of see, because ticks are also quite seasonal. This is where fire is very important in nature as well. You know, fire tends to be, inverted commas, destructive, but it is a very crucial part of a savanna and the functioning of a savanna as a whole. Them and elephants are great influences on them. So to burn or to let natural fires maybe to run wild, so to speak, is sometimes necessary because you can help control, well, not help, but you can let it assist in parasite control. Sitting here talking about these ticks, I've noticed something in a silver cluster leaf. I just want to pull you guys forward ever so slightly. Have a look at that chrysalisk. Can you guys see it hanging there? Oh, let me look at the monitor if I see what you see. There we go, nice. Oh, that's cool. Check out that. Made from an insect that has got a very, very primitive brain or neurological system. Cutting little twigs with its mandibles, kind of sewing it together with silk, attaching it to that silver cluster leaf branch, and going through a metamorphosis at the moment. Very, very special. Things like that, you know, there's so much out in the bush. We haven't seen many animals, you know, but there is just so much happening around us at any one time. It's always busy. You just need to kind of look closely when the leopards disappear, the lions are playing hard to get, the wild dogs are cruising. insect in here is what we commonly refer to as a bagworm. Bagworm, because what happens is when they are making those little chrysalisks, they're doing it on the ground, and they actually drag themselves like in a little sleeping bag to the tree, take it up and attach it. They metamorphosize into a butterfly, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a moth actually. And yeah, it's just impressive. It takes some time to go through the metamorphosis. You know, metamorphosis is a biological word for changing the shape of your body. Tadpoles to frogs, larvae through to insects, butterflies, beetles, etc. So you never want to disturb them. You know, as a child I was very naive, not knowing what's going on, but very interested, and I actually opened one of those things, and I was quite sad to see that I destroyed the metamorphosis of that moth. But unfortunately, that's how you learn. I'll never do it again. But it taught me a valuable lesson. You just leave it alone. Incredible, eh? And it survives storms, wind. Yeah, Mandy, all of us on this vehicle are nodding and agreeing with you. It is truly, truly fascinating. You know, nature's like that saying, still waters run deep. No truer words have been spoken referring to nature. Look at that, bouncing left, right, up and down, sideways, any direction the wind comes, there's some play, there's some kind of room for error, and until this insect is ready, unless an elephant decides to pull in here, I think you'll be pretty okay. Alrighty everyone, so we're going to slowly start our bumble again. Let's see what else we can see. How awesome was that bagworm in its little kind of homemade sleeping bag? I think that's fantastic. That a girl, Wendy. Oh goodness, we still got ticks here. Let's get rid of them. There's a korhaan, oh no, or a black-bellied bustard, and we're not swearing when we say that. Looks like a black-bellied bustard. Let's see if he can call. Oh. I obviously said something quite offensive to that guy. Sorry, brother. Good luck next time.
WildEarth's live safaris have been free to watch for all our viewers around the world since 2007, and this will never change. From December the 8th, 2021, WildEarth will no longer broadcast the full 3-hour safari on YouTube, Facebook or Twitch. But you can still watch the full live safari on the WildEarth Channel for free or on one of our many apps. To begin with, we will continue to broadcast the first hour of each safari on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch, so you have some time to find a new place to watch that works for you. The chat will be available on our website, and for those who struggle to find the time to watch live, recent past live broadcasts will be available on our apps for you to catch up. Please head over to our website to see where you can watch and chat.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
The bushwalk feed allows the camera person some creative license. This is my favorite style of shooting. You have to be mentally and physically prepared. You're shooting handheld in some very strange and contorted positions, always with a straight back, often in the squat position, low to the ground. The creativity comes down to the relationship and sync you have with your presenter. The more you understand each other, the more you'll be able to tell the story seamlessly.
Okay, so we just enough around that area where Tande Marips was seen, just in the hope maybe that we would see the hyena still in the area, or maybe the two leopards have done a loop back around. You never know. So we're just going nice and slow. This road is essentially, we can't go on this side, that side, we can't go there. But we know sometimes these leopards can move in an erratic manner. So we're going to loop around back up toward the airstrip and those big open areas, and then we'll loop around back towards Djuma. This type of weather, I must say, it would be great to see. I would love this cool weather. And we haven't had a good... Ooh, what was that? Just want to go back. I think it's just a gap on a branch. Like maybe where there's no bark, but the colour is worth checking. That is what it is. I thought it was a leopard on a branch, but it's not. Onwards we go. And earlier, and he's doing their best in the planet. Djuma pretty, you get it quickly when you're driving every day, and especially the ginormous, it's pretty quick. Time that I've been at Wild Earth, I've spent a lot more time on Chitwa, so I've got to know where this is like. So now at least I know where the parameters are. But if you're driving every day, you learn them pretty quickly, and we get a map. K knows where he's going. Saber knows this property, so I've got some backup. I can drive without thinking. The thing that's harder than learning the roads and knowing where you are is remembering all the road names. That's normally what takes a bit longer. You'll often find when guides start, they'll know their way around before they remember every single road name. But even hop along, they will remember they'll say, oh, drive to where the buffalo was killed for a week. No, where the buffalo was killed. So they'll remember all of those sort of little things. I'm going to carry on checking through here. You're going to head over and have a little catch up with Justin.
Hey, Chanti, my brother, I tell you, I couldn't agree more. When we got the job west of Djuma, maybe 4 to 6 months before we learned all the road names, it takes a while. For me personally, I like to sometimes use trees as a little bit of a landmark, because the best part about plants is, guys, they don't lift their roots up and walk away. Always tell you, much like this dried knobthorn, that could be a bit of a landmark for us. Hi Tapela, good question. It is quite tricky. Some birds are sexually dimorphic where male and female look completely different to one another with regards to plumage. A general rule of thumb, if one looks at the birds of paradise from the Papua New Guinea area, is that the males have got very vibrant plumage and the females tend to be quite dull. I've heard the females being dull as a punchline of many human-related jokes. However, there's a reason for that. They quite commonly need to be camouflaged to incubate their eggs. So this is why they match the environment rather than having the striking plumages. So with regards to birds and reptiles, where they excrete their waste, there's only one opening known as a cloaca. So the most accurate way to tell is to actually look internally. To do that is quite difficult on wild specimens. But once upon a time in my life I used to have 2 parrots as pets, unknowingly not knowing of the problematic smuggling of parrots through the worldwide. And yeah, the veterinarians upon their checkups would have to kind of knock them out with gas and actually go internally to confirm male from female. Much like Chris's Wahlberg Eagle section yesterday, you can also use size to differentiate between male and female. But sometimes birds may be hunched over, a little bit fluffy, so it can mislead, but it is quite an accurate one too. Waikisha, there are plenty types of ticks out there. Globally, I'm unaware, even locally, I'm not entirely sure because they're quite seasonal and not really desired, so not a lot of time is spent with them, but we've got a number of species out here. You know, in summer you always worry because very similar to that of Lyme disease, not as bad as Lyme disease. Over the years you do develop a bit of a resistance to the tick bite fever, but in the past 2 years, considering the symptoms thereof, very, very similar to COVID. So we were quite stressed out about getting bitten by ticks because we don't want to start feeling ill, fever, body ache, etc. and we get lumped into the COVID category. But for the most part, very, very diverse group of arthropods, much like scorpions and spiders, but yeah, they're in a league of their own, so to speak. Here we go. Over the bumps. Come on, sunshine. Again, the turquoisey trees. We're back around the silver clusters, eh? So right now we are kind of in an eco tone. The turquoisey trees back around the silver clusters, eh? So right now we are kind of in an eco tone where two habitats are merging. Here, the softest spot in my heart is are snakes and all kinds of reptiles. I feel that they are severely misunderstood and unnecessarily kind of taking the brunt of the force from humankind. Fortunately, yeah, for about 24, almost next year 25 years. So I'm like the Lorax for the reptiles. You know, the Lorax speaks for the trees, but I'm going to try and speak for the reptiles. Get people interested in them. Oh, there goes a little duiker off like a shot. So we're getting quite close to the Hyena Den that was active yesterday. Let's see this morning. I wonder if that rain bugged those little cubs, and we refer to hyena youngsters as cubs as well. So let's see. So we'll just slowly approach the den, the entrance of the den, and let's see if they're here. Just past this large fruited bush willow guarri thing. Ah, pity. Not today, everyone. Maybe this afternoon. But as you can see, den site inactive. Does look like potential little bit of scuff marks on the lip of that entrance there. So maybe they were active a little bit, but not anymore. Maybe the female has moved off. Still learning all the names of these hyenas. So maybe she's out. Ribbon. Yeah, maybe Ribbon's out doing her thing. Maybe she's wrapping a ribbon around a carcass to bring back for these little ones. Yeah, so you can see not every day we're so sure, but this is why it's very important to follow up on areas where we know that there is activity, so we can see how these stories unfold, and so we can see how it changes. You know, one of the best parts and privileges of living and working in conservation areas is seeing the change over time. Sometimes it hurts you, but it's very good to actually witness, you know, something the majority of the world doesn't. Simple as watching a leopard cub grow up. Very, very, very fortunate. I'm looking down next to me here. I don't know if you guys will see it, and I don't want to get out, but there's a Torchwood Fruit. It's right down here, dude. I don't know if you're going to see it. So there's a Torchwood Fruit next to us. Maybe we don't want to get out next to the den and put pressure on them. It's not fair to them. Hopefully next time we can find a bit of elephant dung, because it's in some elephant dung here, and I was going to just kind of talk about seed dispersal. But anyway, let's keep going on. Maybe this afternoon you guys get lucky with Chris and they're out again. Yesterday was just fantastic.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
I love being a cam up for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
All right. Hello. Welcome back. We've done our loop now. Through the eastern parts of Chitwa. And in terms of large carnivore tracks, that's how much we've seen. 0. So we're going to go down. I want to check the Mulwanini. And then we're going to head back up onto Djuma. Maybe a little twin dams, and then check the Hyena Den. I think that is going to be our order of play. I just love rusty touch. This flower here, I've seen it. Oh, thank you. See? Beautiful flower. I've been seeing a lot of them around. I think it's called... That is going to be our order of play. I just love how rusty revs so much. Oh, there's this flower here, I've seen it. Ah, okay, thank you, FC. Do you see this? I'm going to just duck my head out of the way. This beautiful flower. I've been seeing a lot of them around. I think it's called a Sand Bride's Bush. Sand Bride's Bush. I think that's its name. Do you know it, Saber?
It's a type of umbrella, right?
Let me check. I might have to consult the old book, but I think that's what it's called. But it is just so pretty. What's it? Pavetta cataphilia is the name. I don't know much about it. All I know is that it's very pretty. I'm sure if you hung around long enough, you'd see some insects coming and using them. But I'm going to see what it smells like. So I'm just going to take my earpiece out. BK is going to have to just tell me if anybody says anything. I can giraffe it. I don't have to pull it off. I'm going to break it so Saber can smell, but that smells like nothing.
It's supposed to be sweet, but smells like nothing.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything. And with this nose, that's impressive. I should... Oh. No, can you smell anything? Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not really picking up anything there, which is a pity. It smells like a bush. That's what Mel at FC says. Does it smell like a bush? No, I can't get anything. Maybe because of the rain. Maybe we must smell. If I see some once it's dry, maybe I'll smell them. But check out that. Killing it. Killing it. You know, I don't know if she's watching, but my daughter Amelia, who is an absolute legend, she walks and she's just started speaking, and we've got like wild jasmine growing at home, and she goes, smell it, and then I've got to go, everyone in the house, she'll go and say, smell it. So Amelia, I hope you're watching. Hello, my little angel. I hope you're good. I believe her brother is trying his hardest to make my wife not sleep, which is not good. Rex, I'll be in. But I do like it. It's too good. But the plant, I'm looking. I know it has coconut sage. It's like a small little shrub, and the smell is amazing. It's got like a coconut smell, and when you smell it, well, for me it reminds me of like a Thai green curry. I instantly get hungry when I smell it, and now that I've spoken about it, I've just instantly got hungry. Well, how long until brekkie? So I want to check this little drainage line here. So we might lose signal, but I want to go check down here.
WildEarth's live safaris have been free to watch for all our viewers around the world since 2007, and this will never change. From December the 8th, 2021, WildEarth will no longer broadcast the full 3-hour safari on YouTube, Facebook or Twitch. But you can still watch the full live safari on the WildEarth Channel for free or on one of our many apps. To begin with, we will continue to broadcast the first hour of each safari on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch, so you have some time to find a new place to watch that works for you. The chat will be available on our website, and for those who struggle to find the time to watch live, recent past live broadcasts will be available on our apps for you to catch up. Please head over to our website to see where you can watch and chat. Wildlife trafficking remains a growing problem in South Africa, and often made worse by the way the media portray this complex issue. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, have recently embarked on a program whereby they train reporters to better tell stories of wildlife trafficking.
In my community, wildlife conservation is mostly something other people do, and I would like to change that. My name is Iman Singli. I told people I met that the pangolin is one of the most trafficked animals on the planet. But what is a pangolin, they said? Why is it in danger? This is what made me decide that the pangolin story must be told. If we are to play a part in preventing the extinction of this animal, then we must all be part of the battle.
A partnership between WWF South Africa and WESA, supported by US Aid.
This warthog is in big trouble. He's got elephants all around. What are you going to do there, big guy? What are you going to do? Oh, he's pretty brave though. Oh man, he's not even moving. Look, that elephant is trying his best, but that warthog ain't budging. That's madness. That's so funny. And we have a winner. The warthog wins the standoff.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Alrighty, so we just left those kudas to do their thing, and we're still searching far and wide. Also a predominantly male-heavy bunch of impala here. Now, you see that impala's got a white flank on his shoulder. Have a look at that. Let me know if I should go forward or back for you if that silver cluster's in the way. Alright, cool. So how's that for quite a unique specimen? There we go, that's nice and close. I'm looking at it on our monitor here. Oh, it looks like he's got flies bugging him. Jeepers, the quality of this camera is phenomenal. So I don't know if any of you guys are aware of kind of people breeding black impalas, golden wildebeest, etc. So if you had to, oh look, he's rubbing his arms. If you had to potentially line breed that animal for, obviously in a captive setting, which this is not, this is a very much a wild setting. If you had to breed that animal, the whitest male to the whitest female and the offspring thereof, keep line breeding it, one day potentially you could end up with a fully white impala. This ram is really excited to try and mark down some territory, try and assert his dominance to the other rams here. You know, during autumn we go through a rutting season where these impala rams don't have it easy. They're continuously sorting out their dominance, who's the strongest male and gets the harem for the breeding season. And maybe we're going to have a little joust here. And yeah, going into winter they'll mate. Typically speaking, early summer, kind of syncing with the first rains, they'll start to drop their calves. And that's one of my favorite times of year. Young impala are some of the most exquisite antelope out there. They're just something unique, something we don't see every day, an impala with a bunch of kind of paradoxing white spots on his left flank there. Oh, it looks like he's got lots of bugs flying around him, bugging him. That tail's going, he's scratching behind his ear. Hi Nancy, yes definitely, they look really good, even during tough years, because they're mixed feeders, so they've got kind of a finger in every pie, so to speak, or maybe a hoof in every pie. They put a lot of effort into grooming, so they look after themselves very well, making sure that ticks aren't kind of sitting on them for too long. But when you start to see impala, especially around their hindquarters, losing weight, you can safely assume that that year or that season is particularly hard. Oh, there we go, he got his grass inflorescence there. That's the word given to grass flowers. And these impala seem pretty relaxed. Either they haven't seen the predator or there is none here. Chandra, you know, nothing is set in stone out here. Typically you'll have a harem, one male to many females, and then you get the satellite herd. I like to refer to as a satellite herd, also commonly referred to as a bachelor group, that are continuously orbiting that breeding herd, putting pressure on the ram. So those males could potentially kind of cover a female without the ram knowing, even out of season. But in terms of dominance and working out the harem, the politics therein, quite common in the autumn months, so maybe April, May, somewhere there. Some areas start a bit sooner than others, depending on the area, because you must understand this reserve stretches over hundreds of kilometers. It is millions of hectares big. So they change their behavior depending on what they got. Same species, but they adapt to their area quite well. So you can see heads down, feeding very, very nicely. Not a care in the world. Oops, there's some seeds are being planted. Thanks, my boy. Maybe next year something nice grows there. I wonder if a dung beetle's going to pitch up there, because sometimes I notice that within seconds, and then they're there. We're not far from those kudus when those dung beetles were. Yeah, here's one flying across a vehicle. Hey, you're going the wrong way, my dude. Okay. Anyway. Let's keep on heading west. Ntobeko, I reckon it would be possible. How one would figure that out, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is possible. Hello Woodlands, welcome back. Alright, so as we're heading north, hoping and praying that we get some activity coming out of the concessions to the left of us. Nobody's checked this road today, so we count ourselves quite privileged. So let's hope we've got a nice surprise hanging around the corner here. One thing I love about this kind of seat or the job as a guide or a ranger is just that no single day is the same. Every day is unique. You can never know it all, and you always learn something. Baboon! Hey! In Shanghai we refer to these guys as mfene. They're like security guards, sometimes putting a big male up on the tallest trees. No. Don't go, guys. Check how awesome these guys are. Davi, let me know if you're in the trees there. Yeah, good troop. Chris is saying he hasn't seen baboons in a while, so this is quite nice. Let's see if I can inch my way forward. It's really nice to see them in the bush, because what sometimes happens is, as we know, humans generate waste. Quite a lot of wet waste in terms of food leftovers. And baboons and vervet monkeys become quite accustomed to breaking into kitchens and waste areas. We like to call them naughty and get very frustrated, but the reality is they're just more intelligent than us, and they know how to fool us, eh? Yeah, check him go. So good, more backup in terms of alert calls. Baboons are also very, very accurate with regards to spotting predators. Sometimes leopards can hunt baboons. I saw a leopard eating a baboon in Manyeleti once. That leopard was called Beacon. And I thought it was very impressive, because to hunt a baboon out of a troop, I tell you, you've got to be flippin' stealthy. And they're going through some red bush willows. They're on our main cut line there, Gary Main. Let's get another open gap for you guys. You know, when baboons break into guest rooms or kitchens and things, quite when you're in between them and the exit. I once saw a baboon fall out of a tree, and I thought that was pretty bizarre, because I thought they were at home in trees. But baboons, you know, they're very charismatic creatures. I think us as people relate to them a little bit better because of kind of facial expressions and so on. All right, give me 1 second, everyone. Just need to back up for Davy so he gets you guys the shot. But baboons can be very funny. One of the funniest things I've seen a baboon do, is they broke into a guest room, and I don't know if you guys remember when all those mini alcohol bottles were there. And I saw this baboon sitting in a tree, literally drinking a Smirnoff vodka. So that was quite unique. I wondered how he would climb down if it was kind of secure for him. Hey, hello. Are you shaking your head at me? Boom. Hey. Check this guy, he's giving us a little bit of character. Yeah, maybe. When baboons intimidate, typically they'll pull their, itchy armpit, they'll pull their front lip over their noses and expose the canines. You know, baboons, adult male baboon has larger canines than that of lions. They can cause a lot of damage. They are omnivorous, feeding on plant material as well as protein in terms of meat. Quite often impala lambs this time of year are gripped by baboons. It's not a pleasant affair. It's very, very noisy, and without sounding about it, they literally kind of pull it apart. And you see them sitting up there kind of chewing on bones like a lamb shank or something, I'm not sure, but they do need it. It's also very short-lived, you know, impala lambs grow up very quickly. I mean, check this guy. He's awesome. Yeah, you must leave that alone. You know, when an animal looks down a road like that, you should always look in the same direction, because their senses, eyesight, smell, hearing, much more acute than ours. You can see that they're quite distributed here. Yeah, I tell you, no, they can be, especially when you get a call from the lodge saying, look, Justin, there's a baboon in the guest room, please get it out. And you think, oh yeah, sure. You walk in there, it's sitting in the apex of the roof, and it's kind of glaring at you and exposing its canines. They sometimes even throw poo at you. Speaking about the weirdest thing I've seen, I once saw a leopard in the west called Tiani. I know Tristan showed you guys her cubs in the den site on Samambili a while ago. I once watched the baboons roost in trees, tall trees. They were in a tree called a leadwood. It's a type of combretum. And these baboons were up there perched getting ready for the night, and Tiani decided to run up the stem of the tree and completely panic them. It was pandemonium. And I physically saw, I even think it's on one of my social media pages, not that I've got much and I don't manage them very well, but a guest that was on my vehicle tagged me in it, and you can actually see this baboon, you know, lack for a better word, poo in his hand, try to throw it at the leopard. That was probably one of the weirdest things I've seen a baboon do. That and the vodka. Alright, so the trip is moving off of us. Let's keep heading towards Tripleham North and check maybe some of the elephants that we saw the tracks there of have kind of headed back our way. Yeah, totally. It's definitely not something we see every day. So I think Chris was quite amped. He's saying he likes baboons. Oops, gents, just be careful. Alrighty, so as you can see, we've got a bit of growth here from these large fruited bush willows, making it rain again. Oh, that's a nice marula. It would have been perfect for a little leopard to be in there, but alas, no luck. Elizabeth, I would imagine so, helping in terms of protecting them from other baboons because they are territorial. And I'm sure, you know, baboons tend to get kind of disciplined, so I'm sure a male wouldn't be shy to kind of reinstate his dominance on a youngster or a young male that's being a little bit overzealous. Oh, squirrel, wing, wing, wing. You guys hear that call? It's a red-crested korhaan. Very similar to that of a black-bellied bustard. And they've got a fantastic kind of mating display, the males. They will fly up, close their wings, and fall close to the ground, and then open their wings and stand. So some people have kind of referred to them as suicide birds. Here he is on the termite mound. Hey, my man. See, maybe let's spend some time here. Maybe we actually get him to display. So I'm going to put it in first so we don't roll. So they're called red-crested korhaans. Even though you don't see a red crest, he's put his kind of display plumage down. It's there at the back of his head. What are you going to do? You want to let all these people hear what you sound like again? So you might find like Kirky Franklin the other day with Chris and this korhaan and the bustards and spurfowl getting a bit of height to vocalize. It allows for their vocalization to travel further, to let any females or mates in the area know that they're around, and any potential competition to know that they're around too. Cryptically camouflaged. Very, very easily drive past them. I've probably driven past thousands. Come on, my boy, you're going to give us one. Look at the beak. He's starting. Hello. Hey, look at that long neck. Come on, give us a call. Listen. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for that. Now, it's always nice to sit quietly and hear if we hear a different individual responding back to him. I tell you, Davy does a great work. Oh, jeepers, I see what you're talking about. Look at that. I'm looking at the monitor. We covered it, so I haven't been paying attention to it. Wow, that is a great shot. Davy, well done. So directly behind the eye is the ear of the bird. They don't have external structures of the ears. It's just kind of a hole. Only reason why I know that is when I had parrots, I used to give them head scratches and then I saw the ear. Oh, there he goes. Cheers, my man.
If I could take you on safari all day and all night, I would, but unfortunately it's not always the best time to see the animals. Now, in between safaris, you can watch the WildEarth Channel with loads of extra shows. If you have a connected television, Apple TV or Roku box, then download the WildEarth app, and if not, then just find it on the App Store on your phone.
BirdLife South Africa, our country's only dedicated bird conservation organization. They have been very successful in a number of areas, including the conservation of more than 150,000 hectares of grasslands and estuary habitat, saving thousands of albatrosses in trawl and longline fishing, and training community bird guides as ambassadors for nature in rural areas. Celebrating their official 25th anniversary, they are sharing 25 of their top success stories across their social media platforms. BirdLife South Africa is currently striving towards the conservation of 132 bird species that are heading for extinction. If we conserve birds, we will protect other biodiversity and important habitats that provide clean water and clean air for humans. Their work is forever ongoing. People who love birds can become a member of BirdLife South Africa or make a donation towards a bird conservation project.
This is incredible. Looks like vivid monkeys do sometimes go for swims. I heard something splash, but we couldn't see what it was in the long grass. Now I just saw that thing swimming there. This is incredible. I hope it gets to the bank. There are crocodiles in this dam. And it looks like, you see that monkey climb up into the tree? Wow.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
You can just tell it to check the keying on our radio.
Alright guys, we got a bit of a technical difficulty. There we go. So if you see, we came around this Paltiforum, this African weeping wattle, and we had a lovely herd of impalas still lying down. Some of the females are busy ruminating. So if you look carefully, you'll see some females lying down that are still chewing, especially the one on the right. We've got a dry white berry bush blocking it. Yes, that was a small lamb. And look at how this female stimulates the mother for the udder. It's like headbutts her in the gut. It's much like cats kneading on the mammary gland. So some of these guys were ruminating, some of the calves are feeding. And yeah, the ruminating process is they've got a 4-chambered stomach, and they'll feed on the plant material, bring it into the first chamber, chew it, redigest, swallow it down, bring it up again. Hey, there's my old sidekick. Old lodge I worked at. Sorry, my girls. Let's wait for you. In my world, impalas have right of way, so let's give them a chance. Huh. Where are you coming? There we go. Alright everyone, well we're going to sit here and wait for the impalas to cross just so that we don't separate any calves from their mothers. Going to send you over to Jonty and see what he's been up to. Hopefully he's got a nice update for us.
Yo, Justin, that is 5 out of 5 guiding. Sensitivity, 10 out of 10. I remember that from training. The guys would mark you down heavily if you drove and did something like that. So we've just been doing some zigzagging on these roads, making our way. And the fact that we're not seeing so many leopard tracks, I think Saber was right. Oh, scrub hair. Jonty, sensitivity naught. It just ran out. What is that?
A spotlight.
No way. We found a spotlight. That is so funny. I'm just going to unplug my earphones quickly. Look at this. I don't know how well it's going. I don't know if it's supposed to have water dripping out of there. But it works. That's cool. It's pretty bizarre that you would lose a spotlight at night, because you'd think you'd be using it. But we'll put a message on the group and see if anybody's lost the spotlight. Otherwise, Rusty's just acquired a new one. Rusty's spotlight was misbehaving yesterday, big time. But I was just saying, like Saber earlier, because of the weather last night, there's a good chance a lot of the leopards have made kills. That's why we haven't seen one leopard track on the road the whole drive. And that's just the way the Boerie bends. But it has been a really cool morning regardless, just driving around, checking different areas, seeing what's out and about. We're also chatting about the European roller. Saber was asking me if I'd seen one. I just want to... Oh, it went over. I thought we were going to get a chance to see a roller, a lilac-breasted roller doing a display. But we're saying we haven't seen European rollers yet. So they should be around now. So that's something to look forward to.
WildEarth's live safaris have been free to watch for all our viewers around the world since 2007, and this will never change. From December the 8th, 2021, WildEarth will no longer broadcast the full 3-hour safari on YouTube, Facebook or Twitch. But you can still watch the full live safari on the WildEarth Channel for free or on one of our many apps. To begin with, we will continue to broadcast the first hour of each safari on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch, so you have some time to find a new place to watch that works for you. The chat will be available on our website, and for those who struggle to find the time to watch live, recent past live broadcasts will be available on our apps for you to catch up. Please head over to our website to see where you can watch and chat.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Okay everyone, we're nearing the end of drive. We headed back towards the camp ourselves, turning in on Impala Plains, I think, yeah? Hey, right, sweet dude. So, yeah, there's no Impala on this plane, but anyway. So yeah, we're heading back to camp. Just want to thank everybody for letting me take you out this morning. You'll join Chris this afternoon. I'm headed off today. I head back towards the north of the greater conservation area. And yeah, it was a real pleasure. Thank you everyone. And I hope you enjoyed our drive this morning. No big stuff, but I tell you what, there's a hell of a lot more things going on here than the big five. And on days like today, it's where we learn to appreciate it. It was lovely to be back in Sabi Sands for a bit. Hey, cheers Bruce, thank you man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Likewise, hope to see you all again soon. Hey, the bush is looking lovely, man. Hey Edward, I hear you my man, I couldn't agree more. When the woodlands are back, we know summer is here. They become like our alarm clocks in summer actually. Thank you very much, Nancy. I'm glad that I had the privilege of kind of taking you guys out on this morning's drive. And yeah, again, thank you sincerely for the nice comments and that you enjoyed it. You know, every guide synthesizes this in his own way. So that's one of the beauties of the bush, is that you can never have the same experience with another person. So I'm glad you enjoyed mine. Guys, have a lovely day. We'll join Chris this afternoon. Fingers crossed, eh? Hey, kudu. Say bye to everybody, kudus. Some young males there. Ciao.